as I said, as I said in the beginning of the tour, I welcome us to our highlight, the Gardens of Gethsemane. And a great question already came up to me, and that question was, what exactly happened here? What is so important about this site? And first of all, the Gardens of Gethsemane, the first thing I would like to point out is that where we have just entered is the most famous aspect to the gardens. So in other words, the Greek Orthodox have their own olive grove right over there. The Armenians have their olive grove over there. Russian Orthodox is close to the Russian Orthodox Church that I mentioned earlier. But here we have come to the most famous part, right here, the most visited. In fact, this is, as I mentioned, the second most visited site for Christians in the entire Holy Land, only behind the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. And here's something interesting. Most of the people that visit this church, this Roman Catholic church, we saw the Jerusalem cross on the doors, most of the people that come here will be Protestants. And so to understand the importance of the Gardens of Gethsemane, I want to talk more about the church that's here. So I want to go a little bit closer. I want to first give you an explanation, because you're going to see signs where it says that I cannot explain inside the church. They made signs for me to say that I cannot explain inside the church. Tough crowd, I tell you. Some of us know this church as the Church of All Nations. I'm going to focus on another term for this church, and that term is the Church of Suffering, or the Church of Agony. And so to understand the importance of the Gardens of Gethsemane, I want to talk about these three forms of suffering that occurred here. Follow me. A little bit closer. I came over here because it's a quieter corner, and my voice carries, so if anyone is inside, I didn't want to, they can hear my voice because I have a booming voice. You're about to go inside what I think is probably the most inspiring church in the entire Holy Land, and I think it's one of the most inspiring churches in the world. It is a beautiful church. It's not the type of churches that you would see in Europe where, if I may say, some of the churches just have a little too much gold on it. Or too much decor. If I may say, a little gaudy. The church you're about to go and see is stunning. But it's not the type of beauty you would see in Europe or in many other places. The type of beauty that is inside this church is to inspire you to sit down and think. That is what you're going to be seeing. You're going to be seeing a modern church when you enter inside in the style of the basilica, the Byzantine basilica that once stood here. So you're going to see a basilica-style church. The thing about it is that you're going to walk in where basically in the beautiful mosaics above, you'll see stars in the rooftop to remind us of the important events that occurred here on that Thursday night nearly 2,000 years ago. You're going to be walking on pavement stones. Mosaic stones. You're going to be walking on mosaic stones, and then those are modern, part of the modern church. But then you're going to see windows in the floor. You look inside the window, and you're going to see the exact same mosaic, same pattern, same everything, but only that is from the original church, from the Byzantine era that was destroyed nearly 1,600 years ago. You're going to be seeing the ruins, and you can see some of those ruins, to the Crusader church that once stood here 900 years ago. A continuity of history. In fact, you're going to also see right in front of the altar a large rock. You might see people praying right next to that rock, hence the silence. But no church father here is going to say, oh, well, that's the rock that Jesus prayed. No. That rock in front of the altar is to commemorate, to remind people of the importance of the location. Because the church father is going to tell you, somewhere here at the Gardens of Gethsemane, we believe that it's this rock, either on the left side of the church, on the right side of the church, or in the center of the church itself. Somewhere here, we believe that Jesus prayed to the Holy Father. And so the thing about it is, well, why? And so the thing about it is that I can tell you that many of my Protestant groups actually rent out a part of the olive grove here with their pastors to meditate on the important lessons that the Gardens of Gethsemane have. That's one of the reasons why people come to the Holy Land. Not only to connect historically to the events, but connect to the lessons that are connected to those events. So in other words, this is the church of agony, or the church of suffering. And the church is commemorating, reminding us of 3 forms of suffering. The first form of suffering is the most famous. Suffering, the agony of betrayal. To be betrayed by someone that you love. Because it is here where, at the Gardens of Gethsemane, Jesus' own disciple Judas Iscariot, will come in. In fact, will use a very kind and gentle symbol to be a vicious one, by gently kissing him on the cheek, telling the Roman guards the man they're looking for. Today, it is here where the Palm Sunday procession ends and the Passion begins, because it is here where Jesus will be arrested. In other words, today, Palm Sunday procession ends and the walking of the Via Dolorosa extends that way. Then there comes another form of suffering, and that suffering is the suffering of disobedience, original sin. We tend to forget that original sin is disobedience. Because, see, Jesus knew something was going to happen. I mean, remember, the Last Supper already occurred. He knew that one of his disciples would betray him. And so he is here, where he's telling his disciples, watch over me, guard me. Do they? No. They fell asleep, allowing Judas to just come walking in. The next form of suffering is probably the most meaningful that anyone could really walk out of here. Why my Protestant groups will actually rent out a part of the grove here to meditate on the importance of that lesson. And that lesson is choice. We tend to forget that having a choice should be agonizing. Because we like restaurants, and we like menus, and we like choices. But the thing about it is that the New Testament reminds us that there's a hint that before Judas appears, Jesus, while alone here, receives a visitor, and that's Lucifer, the devil, Satan. And it's here where the devil's trying to tempt Jesus, deceive him. It is known as the last temptation of Christ. Basically telling him, you don't have to die. There's no reason for you to die, to be sacrificed. And the thing about it is that as the devil goes away, it is here where Jesus prays, hoping that there's a better way. Upset, confused at one end. Yet he also understands on the other end that a sacrifice does need to happen. And so, scared, confused, upset, like any of us would be, there he is praying so hard, hoping that there would be another way, that he is shaking, convulsing so much as it's written that blood and water comes out of his skin, hoping for a sign of a different way. And that one sign he gets will be the Archangel Michael coming down, gently touching him on the shoulder, giving them a sign that you will go through this and it will be okay. Moments later, Judas will appear. The next form the reasons why many of my Protestant groups will come to this Roman Catholic site is what many Christians also view as a very important lesson. That doing the right thing is not always the easy thing, and usually it's not. And so this is one of the these are the deep reasons why we have the Gardens of Gethsemane. This beautiful church, so beautiful that it's meant to make you want to sit down and think of the importance of what occurred here so many centuries ago. And so when you go inside, feel free to sit down and think, because it is one of those types of places. If there is no Mass, also feel free to take some pictures. But if there is a Mass occurring, please, no pictures. I'll also give you some time to maybe come around here and look at some of the archaeology of the Crusaders. Or take a picture of this ballista ball that was used to destroy the Crusader church. It was found here when they were digging out the foundations to build the modern church. And they found this